Today, we'll be working on Bouree in A minor by Johann Sebastian Bach. This is lesson 2 of 3. In this lesson, we're working on polishing the piece with articulation and dynamics and keeping our beat and tempo steady. You can find part 1 by clicking the info card and move on to part 3 by also clicking the info card, and you can also get a complete index of all the lessons and the ebooks at pianovideolessons.com. You guessed it, just click the info card. Alright, so in our last lesson we wrote all over this paper and we learned the basics of the Bouree. We've checked off on the A section here, on the stage 1 section, that we've learned the notes, rhythm, and fingering. Hopefully you've done that and you've practiced this piece to get it going. Now, to give this piece a true Baroque flavor, we have to look at the touch and the dynamics in this piece. So, in the Baroque era, we used terraced dynamics, which means changing the dynamics abruptly without a crescendo or diminuendo. And we also need to listen for a detached articulation. We talked about reasons for that in our last lesson on the minuet, but essentially it's due to the limitations of the instruments of the period. So we're going to imitate that style using the piano, which can do a lot more fancy things than a harpsichord or a clavichord could do. So now we're going to increase the Baroque-ish feeling of this piece by paying attention to the dynamics of the piece. So the composer, Bach in this case, would likely have not included the dynamics, how loud and soft to play, because if you're performing this as a solo performer in the day, you had no way to get louder or softer. You could just play the piece. You might have a lever where you could get louder and a lever where you could get softer, but it would be up to you to decide if you wanted to change your dynamics. So this particular piece has forte written in at the beginning, and then I'm just going to circle it because you might not be able to see it with all this writing. It says forte here, it says mezzo forte here, and it says piano here, and then it says forte here. Now these dynamics were written in by me, and you do not have to follow them. You just have to try it and see what you think. So let's go ahead and try it the way the editor, me, has indicated dynamics. So I've played the entire A section forte. And then we went to mezzo forte, and then piano. So I chose those dynamics for a few reasons. I thought the A section should be strong and bold because it seems to be the main message in this piece. And then as the B section starts, it's nice to indicate that a change has happened by just changing the dynamics from forte down to mezzo forte. And then there's this little echo. So why not drop down to a bit more quiet there, and then finish nice and strong because we're back to that main idea. Now you could have done this a different way. You could have said, well, I want to go forte here and I want to go mezzo forte on the second line because it is almost the same and it's an echo. So here I'll play forte and then mezzo forte. Now I might want to change back to forte and then piano. Now forte. Alright, so you can choose the dynamics that you like the best when playing this piece, but that's one way that I like to play it. You can just stick with the ones that have been written in, or you can create your own plan. The most important thing is to be abrupt in your changes, not gradual. Now let's have a look at the articulation. You may have noticed the way I was playing my quarter notes. I'm lifting between each quarter note, and this is also stylistic of the Baroque era due to the limitations on the resonance of the keyboard instruments of the time. The harpsichord was plucked and the notes did not make a big sound or linger, so they would definitely have ended before the next one began to play, unless they were quick, like this. And you can see there are slurs marked in the music on all of the eighth note patterns so that we can join those, because in the day we would have had a sort of continual sound happening on those more rapid notes. So let's go ahead and pay attention to that. We're going to lift, 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 running down, lift, 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 running, running, lift. Now this is tricky. Running, running, lift. My right hand is running. My left hand is lifting. So I've got legato in my right and detached in my left. So you may need to practice that a little bit just to get comfortable with doing different things with each hand. This next line, not too challenging, same thing. And just this one little legato slur over. All right, let's look at the next part. We've got detached and then join all this. Now it's joined from here. Let's see what would happen if we didn't. You could do that. You could lift off this quarter note. It's marked to slur, so let's play it the way it's written. Lift, 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 join. Oh, I added a sharp in there. And then I played a wrong note. It happens. I was thinking about the fun sharp that I added in there. I changed it into A major just for a minute. It's A minor. Okay, so let's go back and do just the B section again, listening for those articulations. Notice I didn't change my dynamics. I'm thinking about articulation this time. Some of you may want to be sticklers and detach that quarter note. You don't have to. The importance is that we're giving the overall general style. I personally like the sound of this connection. It gives it a little bit more cheerfulness to have those notes all connected. It just flows a little better, that blueberry watermelon. Otherwise you have blueberry watermelon, which it's okay as well. Ooh, super windy outside today. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not, but it's blowing up a storm. All right, so we've now talked about articulation in this piece. We also want to think a little bit, one more step on articulation, which is the feeling of that 2-2. And I think you probably heard it when I was playing, but let's just examine it. So we have and 1 and 2 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 and 1 and 2. So the 1 is stronger. 1 and 2 and 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 1 and 2. So there is the attention to the 1 and 2. When we have two beats in a measure, the first one is strong and the second one is weak. So we feel that 1, 2, 1, 2. If we were conducting this, we'd be conducting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, blue, blue, 1, 2. We'd be going much slower. 1, 2, blueberry, watermelon, 1, 2, 1 and 2. And 1 and 2 and 1. The 1 is the down and it's pulling us down. And then let's have a look at the steady tempo. So in the vein of us conducting this, the thing we want to do now is to be able to play from beginning to end, counting the beats or at least maintaining the pulse and not having gaps. So if there's a place in the music where you're stopping and having a gap, you need to just do a little bit of closing of the gap there. So let's just look at the piece and see where that might happen. Starting at the beginning, I'm going to play through and I'm going to stop in places where I suspect some people may have difficulty keeping their beat flowing. So that could be your first one right there, getting over that left-hand hop. So I'm putting a little star there. I'm going to keep going. We'll start again. That could be another one, getting over that left-hand hop down. So we've come from here. and then we have a hop up and a move over. It's the same thing again. So hopefully you've sorted that already. So there's two places on that first line where you may have trouble. So you could use a procedure that I have done called countdown. And I'm just going to give you a brief description of countdown. And I'm actually going to extract this and create a separate video about the countdown method. So anytime you have a spot in your music where you have a difficult time getting to the new location and you're finding yourself stopping and thinking, there's this method you can use called countdown. Basically, you mark it in the music, the place where you're having trouble keeping the beat steady, and then you practice it, allowing yourself time to think. So you play up to the star. So here I would go, and 1, and 2, and now I'm going to count down from 5 while I get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm only going to count to 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm going to do it again, and this time I'm only going to count from 3. 3, 2, 1. Notice my left hand is getting ready faster. 2, 1. And now this time I'm just going to say ready, and then play. Ready? And this time I'm going to try not to stop. All right, I'll try that again. If at any time you've go to a faster or shorter gap and it's too hard, just increase to the previous number, the longer number again, to give yourself the more time, and then try the shorter number again, and then go back to the longer number if that's still giving you trouble. But this little method will help you get over any bigger jump, leap, gap processing. Like if your brain needs to process something, it'll give you the time to do the thinking you need to do, get yourself ready, and then play, and you're just shortening up the amount of time a little bit more each time, forcing yourself to prepare that mentally a little bit faster. All right, so we're working on steady tempo, and I think we got to the end of the second line, so now we're going to look at what comes next here. So we had down, now we've got a big hop here, but we've got lots of time, so we can start here, start thinking. You've got lots of time, so you want to think ahead here. Maybe write that in your music, or even draw an arrow that sort of points you over that way. Start thinking about the next line. So as you're playing this, get the right hand ready, and then left hand can join. So anywhere in your piece that you have any trouble, you can just make yourself a little star and circle it, and then use the countdown method to increase the ease with which you move into that next section, which requires some thinking. All right, so now we have achieved the steady tempo, the articulated eighth note, or quarter notes with the detached. I'll just write that in here, detached quarters, and we're going to feel also the 2-2 time, so it's going to feel like 1-2, 1-2. We've got a terraced dynamics plan for the piece, and we're working on keeping our steady tempo. We can use the countdown method for that to close up any gaps that are in the music. So I'm going to go ahead and play this piece for you now with terraced dynamics, detached quarter notes, 2-2 feel, and also with a steady beat. Here we go. Alright, so I will see you in the next lesson where we're going to polish this piece and get it really ready for performance so we can add it to our repertoire list. That will be a short lesson, and I'll see you there.